Hey guys, Chris here and welcome back to a new Destiny commentary. Been a while since I did one of these, so I have a ton of stuff to talk about. I hope to upload a few commentaries over the next few weeks, so in this particular video I'm going to talk about the matchmaking in Destiny's Crucible, because I'm sick and tired of playing PvP. Now some of this might be because I'm burned out on the game, some of it might be because of the return of Thorn, but mainly it's because of the recent introduction of skill-based matchmaking. And before we even get into my entire argument here, it's important to know that the Trials matchmaking is seemingly unchanged, so this applies only to the regular PvP and possibly Iron Banner. There's some pretty solid evidence on Reddit, and if I can find it I will link it in the description. But basically in the latest patch that nerfed pulse rifles and buffed hand cannons, etc., skill-based matchmaking was introduced in Destiny's PvP. Now I think there's always been some degree of skill-based matchmaking in Destiny, but it seems that the games are purely based in skill now. So why is that a big deal, you ask? First of all, everyone's biggest complaint about Destiny's PvP right now is how laggy it is. So what happens when you stop prioritizing skill over connection? The game is gonna get laggier. And Bungie decided to do this shortly after the release of other shooter games like Black Ops 3, Star Wars Battlefront, and Halo 5. So while big parts of the PvP community are off playing other games, meaning that Destiny's player base is smaller than ever, they decided that connection shouldn't be the main priority for PvP matchmaking. That doesn't really make much sense to me, as it seems like a recipe to disaster. And how do we know that skill is now the priority? For one, I noticed almost immediately that the players I was going up against after the patch were much closer to my skill level than they were before the patch. It's been like this for over a month now, and it seems like nothing has changed. There is more to it than that. For instance, people with NetJuma routers can see whether people they're playing against are localized. My friend Fama from Resolute was streaming the other day. He's from the UK and he was getting matched up against people from Africa and some from the west coast of the USA. That's a distance of almost 5,000 miles between two players, so no wonder there's going to be some latency issues. And in my opinion, this is just one of the issues with the skill-based matchmaking. Another issue that for me has absolutely ruined Crucible is that the fun has been completely sucked out of it. For someone like me who holds around a 2 KD in Crucible, this means that I'm getting matched up against people with 1.7 KDs and above. This includes people who play sweaties a lot, and members of PvP oriented clans who basically do nothing else than PvP. At one point I was getting matched up against people from the clan Last Rights, basically every other game, and if you don't know them, these guys are a PvP clan and their average KD is 2.2, so they're really tough to go up against. So while I do enjoy the occasional sweaty match, having to play sweats constantly in my public matches has completely sucked the fun out of it. One might say that I want to stomp on noobs, which admittedly is not entirely wrong, but my main issue is that I can't do what I've always enjoyed doing in FPS games, going into a match with a quirky setup and seeing how well I can do. This is something I've done since Black Ops 2. I've always loved trying to get great gameplays with a weaker gun, but when I'm constantly going against these high skill players, I get punished for trying out these loadouts. This obviously doesn't only apply to me, and the result is that there isn't any weapon variety in Crucible whatsoever. In Trials all you see is Last Word and Meta, and in the regular Crucible, Thorn is also in the mix. So with the exception of Doctrine of Passing and a few God Roll pulse rifles, it's nearly impossible to compete with a legendary primary weapon. This is of course a problem with the meta, which I'll save for another video, but I will add that the reason that skill-based matchmaking works in Halo is because everyone is on a level playing field. In a game like Destiny where there's supposed to be tons of variety, I find it hard to believe that skill-based matchmaking can ever work. Now I understand why skill-based matchmaking was introduced. It allows new players to be eased into the Crucible without getting stomped on time and time again, and they did it around Christmas time, so it makes perfect sense with all the Christmas news. They want them to be eased into the Crucible. But from my personal experience, these humbling defeats that I've had quite a few of in the past, even to this day I get defeated by pretty large margins now and then. These are what pushed me to become a better player. However, this is no longer the case for me because I'm either frustrated or bored with Crucible now, and honestly I'm just considering switching over to other games to get my PvP fix because it's no longer fun for me to play Crucible. And I know that I'm not the only PvP player who's frustrated with the matchmaking, so I think Bungie needs to revert the matchmaking back to what it was before the latest patch, or at the very least acknowledge that they changed something because there's some pretty solid evidence for it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, and if you agree, feel free to share it around, and maybe with some luck, someone from Bungie will see this and maybe they'll do something about it. Either way, that's it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you on the next one.